We'll start with Detective Comics 1000, and we'll end with Detective Comics 1000 because it's the only book. You know what I meant? Yes, we start with Batman's Longest Case, written by Scott Snyder and art by Greg Capullo. It is also worth mentioning that the credits are not always at the start of these stories, and there'll be somewhere I will have to go ahead and check later in the issue, or later in the story to find them. So just bear with me, folks. So, yeah, this is a detective case. Was it just me, or was Capullo's art different here than normal?
Yeah, it wasn't what it has been, but it was still enough that
It
you can
depends.
tell it's
It
Capullo.
was a slightly different style. I know Capullo's talked about this before, how he always tries to change his style because he doesn't want to just do one thing. The second page, double page spread, that felt really in keeping with his Batman run. But the rest of it was slightly different, a little bit brighter, a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's the inks, but it's the same inker. It's Clapian.
Even the lines just feel a bit different though, because
Yeah.
there's a little thing that was annoying me actually in the art. There's a little thing. His left ear, for some reason, feels just in a bit compared to the right one.
His left or left as you look at it?
Left as you look at it, sorry, yes. Left from our perspective. Like that first splash page where the title is, it's like kind of in a bit, whereas the other ones, like, the side of the ears going down the side of the head, right? It's like a perfect line. Whereas
I just took it from how he's
I
standing.
think I think it's just the way he's tilted his head.
Yeah, but it happens again a couple of pages later, where he's leaning, where he's like crouched.
Is this Connor in the cross, Pete?
Maybe it is, but like I noticed it like multiple times, and it was bugging me.
No, I see the panel you're looking at. It's the panel after the 2-page spread.
Yes.
That first panel again. It's the way his head's tilted, so it's like slightly onwards. So you're looking onwards towards the ear on this side, which is why it looks straight. Whereas the other side, it's kind of hidden slightly round behind the head, essentially, rather than looking straight onto it.
I think if the ears were taller, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it.
Yeah, you really hate short ears, don't you?
I do. I hate the short ears. What can I say? And the shadow has his face weird in that panel as well, actually. I feel like there's like this weird lack of definition. So his face looks like it cuts off really weirdly. But, whatever. So the story here is that he's been tracking things all around the globe, this case that he's been working through his whole career, going around all these different wacky clues. Very Indiana Jones. I'm sure Matt was
but it got Snyder as all hell.
It did.
With the explanation of the different glasses, and I was like, if this was in a prose book, I'd be all down because that's the type of stuff I like to read. But in a comic, I was like, all right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I thought that 2-page layout was a shorty read.
Yeah,
Really?
That's what I was hitting too.
Oh man, I did not get that at all.
It felt like it took that 2-page layout felt like it took almost half the reading time of the whole story. Like it felt like it went on for a while.
I think that was the point. It was a journey. It was all the stuff going on. It wasn't a quick thing. This was over a significant amount of time.
It was just the way that Snyder goes about it. Is that he does, a textbook dump.
Yeah, it feels like a clump. It doesn't feel like a journey feels like I'm traveling from place to place. That's just felt like here's everything on a page. I don't know.
I don't know. The way it flowed, panel to panel, location to sequence, worked for me.
No.
What I really loved is the color change. Like it starts red and ends up green. Like that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was too wordy, too much of a dump. But so he's finally tracked it down to what he thinks is the last place, the answer to this case the whole time. He's theorizing, who is it? Who's behind this? It couldn't be the Riddler. It couldn't be Mad Hatter. It couldn't be Joker. It couldn't be this. And then he gets into this secret room, and it's a bunch of other superheroes, including Jean, the Hawks, Detective Chimp, and it's like, and the question is like, yeah, basically we're a guild of detectives.
Ralph Dibny.
Quite right.
Yeah. So is that meant to be Sue next to him?
I assume so.
Yeah, I'd have thought so. Yeah.
Which that makes me very excited.
Because she can die again.
DC, don't get any ideas, please.
She's praying for the killing, Matt. She's praying for the killing.
So let me just say this. World's Greatest Detective.
Yeah.
Took him his entire career.
Yes. To do something that apparently all these characters have already done.
Now, I'm gonna rationalize and play devil's advocate here, and say it's because he's so wrapped up with Gotham that this takes,
He always
this is
just
his
comes
background.
back to it. It's never
Like,
his
yeah,
focus. Yeah.
yeah, this is his hobby, if you will. Um,
Mm,
but still, the irony was not lost on me on
yeah.
that. No.
I'm into it as a concept, though. I hope
Huh?
I'm sure it will come up again at some point.
Mhm.
I think it's been introduced for a reason.
Yeah, and I liked how when they introduce the different sections, and like there's a celestial wing, and then there's a spiral staircase down to the supernatural stuff.
Yeah,
Like this is prime for an anthology series. You know?
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just following like a different detective each issue.
hmm
Who were those on
Or,
the
or
back? Do you know, at the bookshelf? I couldn't make out
yeah.
who it was meant to be.
Huh?
On
Um,
on the page with all of them there.
it's hard to tell. I can't really get
Yeah.
Yeah, I
anything.
think it's just people that are in there.
And the Secret
Yeah.
Detective Guild, where only these
Yeah.
few people have ever solved all these cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably some pretty good detectives then.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um. So I like that the question is now back, as we've gotten to
Yeah.
see him a bunch lately, whether it's in the nightmares. But yeah, and I like how this ends. It says this is only the beginning, and that's such a Snyder thing because during his Batman run there were these little teases that you would get to stuff that might happen later.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that part.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to come up again in the book he's doing with Capullo, or if this
Yeah.
is going to be for other people to pick up on later.
Yeah, considering that the other one is so far outside of continuity, um,
Yeah,
Last Night on Earth or whatever it's called. Um,
yeah, it's true.
I doubt
I'm
it.
thinking like with Chimp in there and Tannen being his
Yeah.
pupil, and the
Well,
magic
and the
department.
reintroduction of Slam Bradley too, which that's pretty
Yeah.
cool because that's a character that goes all the way back to Detective Comics, like before Batman.
Yeah.
Like he was there. He was there in I think Action as well. So like I like how that tied this back to that.
I can see it being picked up in Justice League at some point as well with Jean and the Hawks.
Or it could never be brought up again, and I wouldn't be that upset about it.
Oh no,
What's wrong with
I
you?
want my
Advance
I want my anthology
mythology.
series.
I don't know. I feel like between this is not just Snyder, even though Snyder did Court Owls, which is the one I'm thinking of here. I feel like there's only so many times we can do this. Secret things existed forever, and we just didn't know about it until now.
Well,
That's what makes
I
them
had
secret.
said, well, no, see, I've said the same, but about secret organizations in DC.
Hmm.
Like just since the New 52, there's too many, and it seems like Bendis in his action arc, that's his purpose. We're gonna cut these down.
Mm.
So I don't know. Maybe they'll have something similar. All these different secret societies go to war.
This feels a lot more low key than some of the others. It's just hey, let's just hang out and solve some crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just dig
Well,
into
mysteries,
the mysteries.
not not just crimes.
Yeah,
but
mysteries.
mysteries.
It feels a lot less structured than say the Court of Owls.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm just happy to see Ralph and Sue. Like I turned that page and I was like, who's the old guy? Oh shit, that's the elongated man. Oh shit, that's his wife. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit too Snyder. What can I say?
Of course.
I wasn't in love with it.
Of course not.
Set me off with the wrong footing. So the next story
Mm-hmm.
is
This is Kevin Smith.
this is the Kevin Smith
Yeah.
one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kevin Smith, Jim Lee, called
Yeah.
Manufacture for Use.
Yeah, and it's we get all these panels of Batman fighting various villains and yada yada. But Matches Malone is trying to purchase the gun that killed the Waynes. He ultimately gets this, and at the end of the story, he melts down the gun and makes a new Bat logo out of it for his chest. The idea that it'll be used and put to use.
Yeah, not just the logo; it's the plate that goes underneath.
Yeah, it protects him. The idea that what once shattered his whole life is now protecting him in the same location that his parents were shot.
It got a little dusty as I read this one.
Yeah, this
and then
one's sweet.
Yeah, And then I got to the end, I was like, oh, Kevin Smith's gotten way better at writing comics since the last time I read a Kevin Smith comic. Not that there's anything wrong with his comics, they were just very Kevin Smith. And so when I got to the end of this, and I was like, who wrote? Oh, wow. Okay.
By Kevin Smith, you mean imagine Snyder's dialogue times 100.
Yeah. Like, and snappy, and
it's not narration, it's just dialogue and dialogue and dialogue. It's got a flow to it usually. If you like Kevin Smith, it feels like a Kevin Smith thing.
Right. This felt like a 100% true Batman story. And like I'd read parts of the Widening Gyre and what was the one that Cacophony, and those are fine. Like they're not bad Batman stories.
I've not actually read those.
Yeah, they don't stand out in my memory, you know. But this one will sit with me for a while.
Yeah,
I loved how it cuts back and forth between, before you know what's going on, you just see matches going to this. It's called the Gotham Gift Shop, and basically when the villains discard their zany weapons or just straight up weapons, there's a collecting market for them, because of course there is, right? And so Matches goes down there, and as the guy's giving him the tour, we're seeing the different altercations Batman's had with, you know, Mr. Freeze and the Joker and Clayface, and
I like how on a reread you see him being hit by all of those villains in the same location, right? It's that like protect him the whole time.
But the one part that really drove it home for me was when Alfred is like, Master Bruce, you know, I said yes to that dinosaur. I even hurt my back.
Yeah, helping
you put it in here. I didn't say anything to the gigantic penny, you know, but keeping this, it's not a good idea for you. But the fact like that came in, and like just the spirit, like even Alfred's like, you know, that's not a good idea to keep this around.
Even for you, that's maybe hinging on the unhealthy.
Yes.
Yeah. And just the fact it's like, no, I know Alfred, I'm doing something else with it. And then when you find out what it is, and then it's going to be over his heart, basically, and always with him. I was just like, oh man, God damn it, Kevin Smith, make me get all weepy for Batman.
Oh, it was good. It's also possibly my favorite Jim Lee art in years.
Yeah, because it's very understated for Lee, because Lee has this tendency to overdo things. Like it tends to look okay. Like it never looks bad.
It's shockingly clean.
Yeah.
It was tight on time. He didn't have time to do all the extra lines and squiggles.
Yeah, there was very little cross-hatching.
He had to go through it.
He should just make that his method from now on.
Yeah, this looks good.
We just need him on a deadline that he can't push back.
I haven't enjoyed his art like this since I think Hush. So I really enjoy Hush.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
You know, and that was his reintroduction to DC. So it might have been his full introduction.
Honestly, like I like this one quite a bit. I think the only critique I have about it is not really a critique of this one specifically. It's more just because I feel like in Detective 1000, there's like almost too many stories that find a reason to have all the big villains appear at least once.
Yeah.
And by the time I got later in the book, I was like, okay, right, I get it. A lot of you want to draw every major villain in your little story, but calm down. But it's not. It's
some of them I feel aren't justified. This one, it definitely is. It's part of the story.
Yeah,
and that's why.
I liked how he worked in Onomatopoeia. You know, his own villain from his Green Arrow run into there. Yeah. Just a little part. Oh, that's a nice little touch. No one else is going to do that one.
Yeah. I never read that, so I didn't get that.
Yeah, well, he's just this villain that he speaks his actions onomatopoeia style.
He is,
and it makes her. It usually whatever artist is working with him draws it out too. So if like onomatopoeia says bang, the sound effect will say bang.
It comes as like an explosion. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like
it is.
He's a fun villain that doesn't get used enough. But yeah.
Yeah, no, the second story is pretty good. The third story is called The Legend of Newt Brody. It's Paul Dini writing with Dustin Wynn on the art. This is a story about a terrible henchman. All the villains are complaining. It's like a TV documentary special that they're doing, and they're interviewing all the villains, and they're talking about this Newt Brody guy. It's like, oh, this is terrible. We hear some stories about how he blew up all the chemicals in Ivy's place, or he let the cop. He fell asleep and let the cops in when Mad Hatter was robbing the bank, or
the world's worst henchman.
Yes.
I love that Condiment King gets an appearance here
Mm-hmm.
because they
Yeah.
say like some of these guys, some of these henchmen that come in are like these young buds trying to make a name for themselves. Other ones are lifelong losers, and then it shows them with Condiment King as Salt and Pepper, and I was like, oh, this is Dini through and through.
Yeah.
No one to have a good
Yeah,
time.
Delightful.
Also, no one writes Harley like Dini. Like, I know the Harley solo book, has its fans and whatnot, but he writes the best Harley to me.
Yeah, where's the Cold Snap then though? If we're doing losers
Yeah.
for the whole life. I mean, Cold Snap's got to be, unless he's implying that Cold Snap does become special later in life, in which case I'm waiting for that. Denny, I'm waiting for that epic arc.
Yeah.
It's a coming.
Possibly my favorite moment was the moment with the Riddler where he goes, it's this secret code, Batman, and you have to figure it out, and he already does because the henchman gives it right to him, and he's
Yeah.
like, "You memorize?" He's like, "Well, no, you gave it to me on a piece of paper, and I left it in my pocket." Because Batman's scary. That's why he gave it to him. Like, it's real good. And
Yeah.
then what do we find out about Newt Brody?
Yeah, well, the big twist is that, and you kind of see this coming once it gets to a point where it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. Basically, it's kind of like Matches Malone, except that it's shared by all the Bat family. So there's been times when Babs has been this guy, it's been times when it's Dick, there's been times when it's been Batman. Because it's worth mentioning, every story, it's a different one of them who's like doing the final arrest, the final like saving the day moment. And then the joke at the end is that Damien wants to, because of this documentary, like, okay, we have to retire this character, we can't do him anymore. And then Damien's like, no, I want to do it. I want a turn. It's like I can be Newt Brody Jr. So, yeah. That's fun. And Babs is all
charming,
like,
isn't it?
oh, he's definitely your kid, Bruce. Is basically her final thing.
Also, just looking through the Kite Man scene, where Kite Man's all wrapped up in a tree, and Brody has a saw trying to saw him down.
Yeah.
Like, it's just Nguyen's art, I'm usually a fan of. This seemed like it was a little bit messier than normal.
It
It wasn't as tight on the inks.
felt like he was even doing a different style to fit Denny's writing, I think. Because it felt more cartoony for one than I'm used
He's
to.
done work with Denny before, though, hasn't he?
Yeah. All that whole detective run.
Yeah, I think so.
Quite right, yeah. Because
So
I didn't think this looked like Win though, because I went back and checked who the artist was after a few pages.
Yeah.
And I was like, was this definitely Win? And it was Win.
Because Win
Yeah.
did the Little Gotham stuff, right?
yeah,
He
that's
did
what I'm
that,
saying.
yeah. This is more in
feels
tone with
much
that.
more like Low Gotham.
Yeah.
That's why I said it was kind of messier, but cartoony is definitely more.
Yeah. It
'cause-
wasn't
'cause-
as tight as usual.
Yeah, because Nguyen can get super moody, and it looks just fantastic. Like
Yeah.
his Super Sun covers are some of my favorites. And that's really bright and whatnot. So, but yeah, that was a really fun story. I laughed quite a few times throughout that
Yeah.
one.
That was your light-hearted comic relief story, and that's perfectly fine. Next story is called "The Batman's Design" by Warren Ellis writing and Becky Cloonan on the art. I want to say the art here might be the standout art for me so far in the book.
It's great. I think you need to give a shout out to Jordie Bellaire's colours.
Sure, yeah.
The way it
Yeah, the
transitions
colours
to
really-
greens and then the blues and then the oranges.
Yeah, Georgia Blair having time to colour books still, even though she's writing the hit comic book series Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So this story, he's chased this gang of thugs, of criminal masterminds, who have been trying to rob a place into this warehouse. But however, the trick is that he's already booby-trapped this warehouse. So this is the idea that he's made. Because he's basically, it's almost like he's calling it chess moves, as he's hunting them down. And it's
S8.
Yeah, it's setting off these little traps in the various crates and stuff in this warehouse. And yeah, but the art's gorgeous.
Well,
The art's the one
and-
that sells this. The art sells this
Yeah.
beautifully.
And they're essentially like mecha mercenaries because they have like these exoskeletons that enhance their strength, and they're all jacked up on like I guess super soldier serum, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
So he has to be crafty. This is not a fist fight scenario for bats.
Yeah, a lot of deep blacks in the inks. The colouring changes quite a bit because it's all sort of blue, but then when the fire starts, everything goes nice and orange, and it looks beautiful. Like everything with the cape and the cowl.
Oh yeah, Cable's right. I'm so mixed in this one because I love the art. The art's fantastic. I kind of hate the writing.
That's usually like Warren Ellis though.
I don't. But even aside from that, before I even knew it was on the list, because there was stuff I didn't like. Him sounding happy that he doesn't have to be gentle about it. Like he's relishing in it, and the calling out the chess move things. I'm like, what's this?
I hold on. Let me go back. Is he actually calling them out, or is it narration? No, he's actually calling.
He's calling them out.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's activating them like with his
Mhm.
voice, but
I assumed he was telling Alfred, so Alfred was pressing buttons.
could be here.
So it didn't read weird to me. I thought he was telling someone to press buttons.
Right.
It just felt clunky. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, the art was the strong point. I feel on this one.
Yeah, art was
And I like Ellis. Like Ellis is fine. I don't think I've read anything by him that I have disliked, but it's just kind of there, like, story wise.
No, it's voice commands. I was right. There's a panel before he goes in with Batman saying, Alfred, enable the stage, and it's voice commands.
Well, fair enough.
So he's not saying it. I mean, it is voice activated stuff. That's why he's doing it. It just felt weird.
Yeah.
Okay. I quite like this one. But I mean, it was the art that was really doing it for me.
Yeah.
I really like the art.
But I was quite into it. Next one is Return to Crime Alley. This is by Denny O'Neil with the writing and Steve Epton on the art. They hit me with some big artists now.
Yeah, no. And of course, Elizabeth Bright are on art.
Yeah, that's what I was
As
talking
always.
about. This felt like a criminal comic, like Brubaker and Phillips.
It was weird seeing this not written by Brubaker
Yeah.
or someone like that, right? I'm like, this is Denny O'Neil? Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense. Denny O'Neil is like this,
Oh, yeah, no, but generationally, right?
But that's what I'm saying. He writes a type of Batman, I feel like, that gave way to Brubaker's style. You know?
Yeah.
So it goes hand in hand. Like,
it's just a weird pairing because it was something you never would have seen, even though the styles complement each other.
Yeah.
So this story, we've got Leslie Tompkins, and Batman's talking to her, but we also get these teases of these thugs that are kind of going around with guns, and eventually they come up to them, and Leslie's basically talking to Batman. She's doing kind of the classic, you go too far, you kind of relish this kind of thing. And he ends up beating the living shit out of these thugs when they come up to threaten him, because they're like, "Oh, is that the real Batman? Oh, let's find out," kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's not a good night because it's the anniversary. They're going to Crime Alley, and he's working through some stuff. You know
how I always say, we all kind of say is that we're sick of seeing that moment again with the pearls.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But
that done here with the Batman looking down on it.
Yep.
One hell of a panel.
That entire page from where the Batman on the upper corner, the Leslie on the other upper corner.
Yeah.
And then that image, that's a hell of a Wayne's death, if you will.
It is.
So Batman beats them up, and it ends with Leslie screaming Bruce no, and she's saying poor thing, and he's like, hey, do you feel sorry for him? And she's like, no, for you. She feels sorry for Batman.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of these like stories looking at Batman's kind of psyche and how like Leslie, and I'd say Alfred as well, see him as someone who's ill, someone who needs help.
Right, he's hurt. He's still that boy in Crime Alley.
Yeah. So no, I mean it's
but when the fight starts and the colors pop and Batman's just backslapping the dude.
Yeah.
It's after you dare pull a gun on me.
That's essentially Epting doing the Robin meme.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
No, again, art's fantastic, and the main, criminal, he's got this like skull mask on that looks really good as well.
Yeah, it does.
No, it's just, art's fantastic, really simple story, but it works. So there you go. The next story is, I believe, the Christopher Priest one. Yep, Heretic, with Neil Adams, unfortunately, on art.
Yeah.
I don't think
that dude's
it was
a legend.
As bad as some of his other stuff has been recently.
What's that?
I don't think it was quite as bad as some of his other stuff has been recently.
I think it's all amongst the same. And I feel terrible for saying this, but like I think the art looks bad
That looks
here
bad. I
Yeah,
because
I don't think it looks good.
Neil Adams is a legend, and for what he's given us, I mean that Superman versus Muhammad Ali cover is like a work of art, right?
Yeah.
And like all the stuff that he worked on through the Silver Age and into the contemporary, like the late or the early '80s and whatnot. This just, oof.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's good. I think it's just less bad than some of the stuff I've seen him do in the last couple of years,
yeah.
where those stand out to me as being worse.
I also honestly think the story's quite bad here. I think it's a really.
I
I think it's stretching the realms of like logic and believability and everything, every possible sense. And I also think it doesn't flow very well. There's some odd like jolting cuts in this one. Because the whole 2-page spread, like the second page of it, like so Bruce is at the crime scene with Gordon as Bruce because there was a Bruce Wayne card on the victim,
right.
and there was this weird cut to like Batman's with Gordon, and then the next page after this, Bruce says, "Oh, thanks, Dick, for being Batman," whilst I was and I'm like. But there wasn't even a single panel with Bruce and Batman. I didn't even realize they were both there at the same time. I assumed that was still Bruce because it felt like he left and came back as Batman.
Yeah, it was definitely an example of why I stopped reading Deathstroke because a lot of this type of stuff happened.
Yeah.
And this is just in a condensed way. That
I think
said,
it's a lot worse here than it ever was in Deathstroke because Deathstroke obviously had 20 pages to do this with, and
no, well, that's what I mean.
I never thought it had that between panels. It always had the cut, whereas
no,
this
it was
has...
just between issues.
This literally has a jarring cut in the middle of a 2-page layout. That made me go, wait, what? What's happening? Okay. Didn't flow very well.
But I do like the spirit of the story here, and about how Batman inspires like people and Bruce to a lesser extent as well. I just feel like they just fumbled at every turn.
Yeah, it was just the idea that like he stole his wallet a long time ago, and this gave him a thirst for capitalism. I don't know. I just
but then that thirst for capitalism turned around and made him do good because he was helping people. He got out of that crime life that he otherwise would have been stuck in if it weren't for Bruce Wayne on his find himself journey. And I like that, and I like how it plays in with the League of Assassins and how Ra's preys on those type of people. Because what's really the difference between Ra's and Bruce? It's just the intent and how they use people. So I like that even Bruce Wayne being there and this kid coming to America and kind of being inspired that, oh, I can do good too. I like that message.
Yeah. I just thought that was messy and stilted. I thought the art was really bad. It's
clunky. I agree with the sentiments there. It's just a clunky portrayal of it.
Yeah. Wasn't enjoyable to read, I guess, is what I'm ultimately saying.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, next story is I Know by Bendis with art by Alex Maleev, and I assume Connor just skipped this one.
Pretty much, I got to the first panel, and went, "That's Maleev," and just again, all right, I'll jump ahead 8 pages.
Damn it! I was hoping he was just gonna get caught up in the art, and then turn the page and then go, "Damn it, Bendis!"
I just flicked through it and looked at the good Maleev images, and then because I like Maleev, so I was like, I'm sure I know he does a great Batman, so I thought I'll have a quick flick at the art, and then that'll be it.
So this is Penguin and Batman, or Bruce Wayne, right? So Penguin and Bruce Wayne, and they're old age, very old, right? Bruce Wayne's in a wheelchair, Penguin coming up. He's basically just to say to Bruce, "Hey, I knew you were Batman. Like I figured it out a long time ago. I knew." And he's like, Joker would call these meetings, and we get Maleev drawing all the villains, and all of which I like, except maybe his Riddler, who's got these abs for some reason. I don't know why his Riddler has abs, but everything else I like a lot.
Wait, where's his Riddler?
His Riddler. So it's the panel with Joker's back to the camera.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot he had the question mark carved on his chest.
Yeah.
Oh,
I kept looking over him.
It was that time of Riddler.
Yeah. So he's got abs, which I'm just not. No. So yeah, and he basically just deduced like who's the one person rich enough sort of thing, and he started following Bruce and keeping an eye on things, and there's actually a couple of pals in this where he almost outright looks like Danny DeVito. Well, this is clearly inspired by.
I was going to say Maleev is a Batman Returns fan because
Um,
there are penguin bombers in there.
that splash page is Batman Returns. Like, except for the suit, right? Like,
Yeah,
just the look of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah, the Catwoman
with-
outfit too.
Yeah. So Penguin came with an army to Wayne Manor. He was going to kill Bruce Wayne and end it right then, but he decided not to. And he realized that the reason why he decided not to is that if there was no Bruce Wayne, if there was no humanity, then that would be Batman without the other half of himself. That would be a Batman who's just Batman and unleashed. And I don't know if I agree with the sentiment. This is obviously the thing where this is Penguin's interpretation of Batman as opposed to like anyone else's interpretation of Batman. So, but he thinks Batman would be more dangerous and might actually start killing them all if there was no like Bruce Wayne to like actually like tie him to humanity. And then it kind of ends with a joke where Penguin thinks he can't even talk, and Bruce Wayne zaps him with the wheelchair. And then he leans in and goes, "I knew you knew." The same way I knew what sort of coward you are, yeah. And he gets carried away, and Bruce just sort of sits there at his old age going, "Good visit." There you go.
So, also, I felt like this Bruce kind of looked like the Bruce from Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Just the way that he's dressed and whatnot. And then I like that Bendis gave the verbal tics to Penguin. You get the wep. And it starts as he gets more animated. They start coming more and more. As he starts getting to the crux of a story, they're interjecting. But yeah, I really like this story. When he shocked him with the wheelchair, I let out a good laugh.
How much did you hate all the returns referencing?
I'll be honest, outside of it looking like Daddy DeVito, I never really noticed the rest of it. Because I just don't think
I
about
literally
returns.
skimmed it and looked at the art and caught like 4 things.
I don't notice it because I don't want to think about returns, because this looks better than returns because it's good art. It just does.
It's not Tim Burton.
Yes, exactly. And the end, so Batman's got a bit of a sense of humor. He's always one step ahead, and I dig that. And the art's gorgeous, and it's very good. One of the best so far. It's a shame Connor has no taste.
Yeah,
I'm good.
All right. Well, next one. It's called The Last Crime in Gotham. This is Jeff Johns with Kelly Jones on the art. So we have, art that isn't to everyone's taste.
I don't like this art at all.
I have to admit, Kelly Jones can be hit and miss with me. This is definitely more of a miss for me.
It's a big miss.
Wasn't feeling the faces in this at all. They were upsetting me.
And before I read the story, I was like, what did they do to Damien? Like, because I had no context, and then when I was like, oh, well, he's meant to be older. Okay.
Yeah, they've got a daughter
that's
now.
fine.
Yeah, Bruce and Selena are old, and it's a whole thing.
Full on Ace. That's got to be Ace like number 4, right? Like,
so they've got a crime. They've got all these 12 dead bodies, and they're theorizing this is it the holiday killer, right? I'm like, oh, it's a nice little call back to.
That's not what I went to. Knowing this was John's, I was like, oh snap, he's doing Birthday Boy.
Right,
from
okay.
Earth Point.
I see.
Right?
I see it.
And then I was disappointed because I thought I'd figured out.
Yeah.
That was close.
Because they really like Calendar Man. They really again. They're like, oh wait, it can't be the holiday killer because Falcone's been dead, as is Harvey Dent and Gilda. Like all these people are dead. And then it's like it turns out to be the son of the Joker, and it's like Joker number 2 like leaves him a note, and it's a whole thing. And Batman decides to smash the signal, and that's it. We're done. Like all of it. But it turns out all of this is just in his head. This is him making his wish with his birthday cake that Alfred's given him. This is him dreaming of a better life in the future. And he blows out the candles. Connor's been oddly quiet throughout this. Did you enjoy this?
No. This might be my least favourite Jeff Johns thing I've read in a long time.
I was gonna say ever.
Maybe. I don't know. It's down there.
yeah, his Action Comics story last year was definitely better.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
But a good artist with him on that one though.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, this was a little bit too much. Like, you know,
I can't picture Bruce imagining this. I can't visualize him having a daydream about this.
well, about the Joker Jr. committing suicide, so there's no more crime left in Gotham. Like, that's dark even by Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to the next story because obviously more interesting. The Precedent, which is James Tynion IV with Alvaro Martinez on the art, and this is basically back when they first have Dick around, right? Dick's been there for just a short amount of time, and Bruce is worried that this
First
is
time they got Dick.
Yes. This is Bruce worrying that he's setting a precedent by letting him become Robin and letting him do this. And Alfred's like, no, but hey, like you went on this dark path, and you know you gave everything yourself. Maybe this can be different, and this can be later, and this can be better. And maybe we get that page with Robin, with Wally and Roy and Starfire, and you know all the Titans.
This is so tragic
who are dead.
because
Yes, they're all dead
all
now.
three of those characters are not around.
Yeah.
And you can say all you want about Rick. That's not Dick Grayson. He can go,
Yeah.
you know.
And you know,
Yeah.
we even see him as Nightwing, and the idea that you know Alfred's not
Yeah.
predicting this, but he's just suggesting that maybe this will go better. He'll be a hero in the light. And
I love this story in that it's going, screw Bruce. We don't care. Bruce is 80. This is Batman and the legacy and how he's
Yeah.
basically going.
Well,
Dick's
that's
a better
to me,
Batman than Bruce ever was.
well, but no, but this is the thing. I don't think that's what he's saying. Really,
No.
what he's saying is that Batman's is about as much as the legacy as it is about Batman himself, and this is a story about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Just being facetious.
and that it's almost like Dick chose them as much as they chose him, and you know they're kindred spirits in that way, and yeah, I really liked it, and I knew that Tynion was a Tim guy. Like we all knew that from his tech run.
Yeah.
And stuff. But so to see him put some
No one's
spotlight
perfect.
on Dick Grayson though, and touch on all of these, and you know, it made me miss him writing Detective Comics. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and
Like, I like
Yeah.
because
I like Justice League Dark, but you know,
I like when Dick brings up, hey, when you put on that cape and started doing this, you're going to inspire more people. You've changed how things are, and people feel that they can do things. So there will be more, and you know what? We'll deal with that. You know,
I love how they have an actual swearing in ceremony as Robin in candlelight. I'm like, this is great.
that's not the first time I've seen that. I'm sure it's not.
Oh, fair enough. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
no, I feel
particular-
like this is an image that's from, you know, it's
Yeah.
Bueno's version of this.
I'm fairly
Fair enough.
certain I've seen Batgirl sworn in as well.
Really?
I think so. I'm fairly certain I've seen this image of Batgirl.
I don't
Yeah.
doubt it. I'm just saying
Yeah.
I've not come across it much enough that it's stuck in my memory. Clearly.
That's fair, but yeah, yeah, no, that's what was delightful. You know, it was speaking about the legacy, and I thought it was a really solid story. It felt like it had a good, you know, something to say in its few pages, and it nailed that.
Yeah, it's quite a short one. This.
Next one is Tom King writing with Tony S. Daniel and Joel Jones on the art. It's called Batman's Greatest Case. I thought it was weird how there was like Batman's Longest Case and then Batman's Greatest Case, like both in the book. But
Yeah.
yeah. So Bruce is going to the cemetery, but most of the issue or most of the story is cutting back to all the Bat family on a roof somewhere, who are waiting for Batman to show up, and they're not sure why they've been called here, so they're debating this between themselves. And you have everyone here, and it's basically an issue of fun banter and speculation as to why they're all there and what's going on. Of course, I do enjoy them all thinking that Jason's getting kicked out of the family, and that's why they're there. That's
That's
amusing.
part of the issue.
Dick and Damien's dialogues back and forth is pretty good. I did.
Oh
think...
my God, you're like the 12th greatest detective. That killed me.
It was 11th until he brought up Ace. He's like, no wait, we're including Ace. In that case, you're the 12th greatest detective.
Yeah. And then Babs telling him just like, let it go. And Dick's like, I was Batman though. Like, so shit's not giving me any respect.
Yeah. No, I like when she makes fun of him for that. So, every time this comes up, I was Batman. It always comes up, I was Batman. He's like, I was
He was
Batman.
just, oh
though.
my god. Yeah.
That stuff was good. I thought some of the other banter though between other characters was a little bit off here and there. Like I thought Babs and Kate felt a bit weird.
Yeah. Well, I just because it bounces at him like with the art, because I'm assuming that's Jones on the dark rainy pictures or pictures panels,
Yeah.
and it's Daniel on the rest of it.
Also, I hated Stephanie Brown's dialogue in this.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I hate
I'm
it.
not gonna lie, I hate a lot of this because no, bear with me.
Yeah.
I liked it at first when it was Dick and Damien. I thought, oh, this is real good. And then as it went on, everyone sounded the goddamn same. They all had the exact same banter. And
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. That with that art is I wish that we had gotten more who was speaking.
Yeah,
You
because when you go to the 2-page spread where Bruce is in the cemetery and it's just all these white boxes, you don't.
Yeah.
There's some that's obvious because if it's this say I was Batman, you know it's Dick, or if it's Babs saying, "See, I told you I dated Dick Grayson," you know it's Babs. But other than that, most of it's like this could be any of the characters speaking.
exactly. And
Yeah.
because individually
I gotcha.
they're all fine bits of dialogue, but when these are all supposed to be different characters,
Yeah.
it loses all meaning.
But that's
But I do like
Steph's basically only panel in this is she's talking to Tim and it's just her asking to make out. That is her entire and I complained that the biggest complaint I have about Tynan's detective run is that Steph's just Tim's girlfriend and that's all she is. She has nothing on her own. And this panel resorts her just to being I want to kiss Tim. That's all she is in this
To be
story.
fair, at least I dispute that a little bit in Detective because the stuff when Tim was gone, she had all the stuff with Anarchy. A lot of her motivation was fallout of grief from Tim, but it was still her plot. She was doing
also
things.
her and Cassandra. They had some real good stuff too. You know.
She got
But I get where
shafted.
you're coming
She
from.
got shafted.
You're not entirely wrong.
No,
you know.
but this here I'll definitely give you. This was shite.
Yeah. But I will say that I loved how it felt like a family meeting, like a family gathering where there's all these little cliques going on, and like Batwoman goes to Cassandra and is like, "You're quiet. I like you." You know, like there's all
Huntress.
these.
It was Huntress.
Oh, it's Huntress. That's right.
Yeah,
it's Huntress telling her.
But who cares? Because they all sound the same. So it could have been Batwoman.
Well, no, you see her in the panel.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm just being facetious.
Yeah, so the whole thing is he's there to get a photograph. Batman shows up and he's like, "All right, everyone say cheese," and it's a 2-page spread of them all together, and then he leaves that photo his parents' graves because it's the night before the anniversary of their deaths.
And that's because that's his family. That's the family they gave him.
Yeah,
and that's how I read it.
That's the sentiment's fine. I actually quite like the sentiment. Although I do think it's weird that again there's this similarity with another story where that's 2 stories now where it's the anniversary of the death.
Yeah.
Do you know why I'll let it slide?
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole point of this is it's Batman's birthday, right?
Yeah.
And if Batman had a birthday, it's when the Waynes are shot.
Right.
Okay, sure. I would just I would have liked maybe some correlation between the editors to say, hey, don't focus on this because the other writer's doing that.
I'm not going to argue with you too much. I get it.
But hey, so there's some pin-ups after that. One by Janin. Looks really.
That's cool.
Nice. It's actually
Fabric.
It's basically war jokes and riddles, but Riddler's got like more of a traditional like onesie.
I wonder if this was a cover that wasn't used.
Yeah, maybe.
It's got a 2019 signature on it.
Oh yeah.
That's maybe not then.
Probably not.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fabric's got a big spread with tons of characters on it.
I feel like he outdid himself here because we were talking about how Lee can sometimes look too busy. I didn't think with this. This I think is the perfect amount for this kind of piece.
Barring the insane amount of abs on Batman, I would agree.
He does crunches. What do you want?
That's crunches. I mean, I liked all the Robins were kind of grouped together. And then you had all the Batgirls and. Although for some reason Duke's with the Batgirls and Huntress, that feels a bit weird. Which he should probably be
I
with the
think
Robins.
it's more they're the other ones. Is probably why he's over there.
That's a shame because I feel like Steph and Cash should be getting a bit more.
Yeah. Well, Catwoman's front and center.
Well, I like that because it's like she's because the right side is all villains, so I like that she's kind of
Right.
in the middle.
The bridge,
on
yeah.
the border.
So that makes
I
sense.
wish Clayface had been more in the middle.
Yeah,
Over,
underneath Catwoman maybe, right above the
Yeah.
Bat logo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think no one else is going to remember that he was ever more of a hero at some point. He's probably just going to be a villain now for the rest of his days.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, then you get a page with Amanda Connor and Paul Mounts, which is the Waynes kind of dying in the stars as Batman's on the gargoyle.
The pearls again.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the pearls are a constellation now. There's a constellation in the sky. It's the Martha constellation in the sky. It's the pearls.
Yeah. It's a great image, though, isn't it?
So then the final story comes, and obviously we're waiting for the Tomasi one because we know there's a Tomasi one coming up.
Yeah.
So this is it. And what I thought was odd about this is that last year there was one of the stories. I think in fact it was the Tomasi one.
It was Tomasi.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was with Gleason.
It was the Tomasi and Gleason one, where it was like each page was a splash page, and it just had some sort of like, I don't want to say it was bad, but the actual narration boxes were basically just like a or in that case a Superman poem essentially that was being relayed through like 8 pages of splashes.
There was no flow in the art. It was just here's some pretty pictures.
Which was fine enough at the time. I do think it's weird though that this year on Detective Comics 1000 that the story that's basically akin to the Bendis story last year that's actually setting up plot is that weird just all splash pages story.
Yeah.
I don't think this should be. I mean, I said with the Bendis thing last year. I don't think it should have been in the issue because I was like, oh, no, it's a celebration thing. Just don't bother.
No, I disagree. I like that it's there, but that's a debate for.
I know.
Well,
I know.
I feel like Tomasi.
Even aside from that, though, I think this one is extra pointless because it's not a story. It's just here's some splashes and Arkham Knight's there.
And the sad truth is I think because Bendis was about to start a run on Superman, and because it was a big deal that he was coming over, it felt a bit more special that he had this story in Action 1000 that it was like setting up what he was going to do. This it just kind of feels like
it was.
We've already had an arc.
The Bendis stuff was kind of small.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you know how
Like
we've not been really feeling this last arc of Detective?
Yeah.
This final page where it's Batman, Badman, I might be out.
That was terrible. That dialogue in the last page is absolute garbage.
I'll say it, I hated this story.
Mm-hmm.
It was tedious.
Yeah,
like I didn't even read all the word boxes by the end of it. I was just skimming it, looking at it.
No, I was too in the middle, and then I got to the final page of, this is Arkham Knight. I should read this one, and then it was the worst dialogue I've ever read.
Do you know the thing is that after a page or two, I realized I was probably in the last story. I was like, okay, this must be the one setting up Arkham Knight. So I knew it was him narrating it like the whole time, and I was reading it, and it was hard to stay focused on it because it was just like him monologuing about who Batman is for a long time. It was a lot of fluff. It was just fluff. And again, this was like, that's drawn with every villain, right? This was, we're doing this again. We get to the last page, and it basically says, when you hear Batman, what do you hear? You hear bad man. Batman,
Dude,
bad man.
That's what the Pete Holmes comedy shorts about Batman were called.
This was terrible, and I'm just gonna put it out there. Mankey's not as good as Gleason.
Sure.
No.
Yeah, sure. He's still good, but he's not as good as
He's good. He's good, and he's excellent at sequential storytelling. But
I
the
like
splash
a good
pages aren't
majority
I need 8 of these splash pages.
of these. Like I think the one with Catwoman and Ivy looks super cool, just because of.
That one's got a nice design to it. It's got a nice layout.
And then him versus Bane, I think looks awesome too.
No, the pages look good. Like there's no debating that, really. I don't think. I mean, I just.
But it's the content on them. I don't.
Like, why isn't this a story? Why isn't this like, there's a shadowy figure and he's setting something up, and like at the end it reveals that it's the Arkham Knight, and he says and he essentially gives kind of the same sentiment, although take out the bad man crap because that's
awful.
It's just awful. Yeah, I don't know. I was rolling my eyes as I read this last page.
Well, I laughed at that. It was comically bad.
You take that and it's the same. Like you take out the Batman stuff. This is Murphy's White Knight. Like
see when it got to the end of this, right? Because I was like cautiously kind of, all right, now this Arkham Knight stuff might be fun, and maybe it still will be. Maybe this is just a bad, first impression and standout of it. But like, this has left me just actively not, because obviously we didn't like the back half of that first arc. We kind of hated how it ended, and I was feeling kind of down about Detective because of that. But Detective 1000 is coming up. Maybe, you know, the next arc will be good. This last page, this last story, but especially the last page, has made me actively not look forward to Detective.
It's honestly left me in a place where I don't know if I want to read the next issue.
Yeah. Well, I after this, I took it off my physical pull. Like, I'll still read this digitally. But, I'm running out of room, and if it's going to keep double shipping, I don't have that much room. Tomasi's done so much good with like, not just Batman, but Damian and, you know, the family and stuff.
Oh, by the way,
That I just...
if you didn't guess this was a Tomasi story by then, one of the splash pages is Nobody.
Or no one.
Or No One. Yeah, Nobody. Was
Whatever their name is.
Nowhere, yeah. That one. I'm like, oh, this is definitely a Tomasi story because he's putting his villain in there.
Yeah.
On the same, like, you know, on the same sort of pedestal as like Mr. Freeze and Man Bat and
Hey, to be fair,
Two-Face and
Kevin Smith did the exact same thing.
yeah, but
it wasn't.
I didn't even notice it though.
I have the feeling that since it's already been seeded in the last couple issues, right, that they addressed his death by Damian when they went to find Ducard, right, in the mythology story.
So he's Arkham Knight, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying it's Arkham Knight, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has something to do with this.
Yeah. And that does not excite me. The fact that this might be him in any capacity is not exciting to me.
I just feel like I'm being incepted here, you know? But yeah.
Because I sadly have to say, I think Action 1000 was much better overall than Detective 1000. I like more of the stories. I think there's a couple of real standout stories in there. There was only one or two that I was kind of meh on. This one, I felt like there was a couple that I really liked. There was a couple that were okay. There was some that I didn't like, and this last one, I think this one, the Priest one, and maybe the Johns one, surprisingly. Like, I just, there's a whole handful of them.
It's a mixed bag of an issue, isn't it? Annoyingly.
It's very mixed bag. It's a shame. And then Kings was kind of murky as well. Like, see, that's me listed 4 that I wasn't really that into.
Do you know what? I thought, I'm going to be shitty negative on King, and I'm going to have to be, you know, I'm going to be that guy again. So it was weird. Okay, I'm not the only one feeling that way. I mean, almost I feel a bit better about it, that I wasn't.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm the most positive about this. But it could be because I'm going on vacation, too. So, like, just in a better frame of mind.
Lock it in. Matt enjoyed Detective Comics 1000 more than Action Comics 1000.
That's not true.
That's what he just said.
Don't you be putting that in people's minds.
What was... Yeah. That was just the favourites. That was just the favourites. Maybe best art as well. What was your favourite story, Matt?
Oh, mine was Kevin Smith.
Fix your mic, and then...
he said Kevin Smith.
He said Kevin Smith. Okay.
Yeah.
That one hit me right into that chest plate.
Yeah. That's fair. Connor?
I'm just looking to see if there's any I like more than the Kevin Smith one, but I don't think there is. Because that one was kind of fantastic. Yeah, Kevin Smith.
For me, it's actually between the Bendis one and the Tynan one.
That's a close second, the Tynan one.
Yeah. I think I like the art. I mean, you know, Alvaro's great on the art, but I do think the art's better in the Bendis one because it's Malieve. Like the art, I think that and the Clunan art. Those are the two art for me that really stuck out in this issue.
That's fair.
But I'll give them best art. I'll give them joint best art because I'm not picking. But best story, I'll go to the Precedent. I like that a lot.
Okay. On art, if you pick 2, I'm picking 2 because
sure.
Screw it. I'm gonna go with Clunan, even though I didn't like that story. I really like that art, and I'm going with Epting because hell yeah.
As you do. No, Epton was great. But it wasn't necessarily the like you know, it was great when I was reading it, but I'm like, I've seen better Epting. You know, like I had like better Epting in my head.
All of the mood I love from Epting with all the cold blues and the colors from Browheiser, and then when it gets into the fight and all the backgrounds, the momentum that's in there, and again the oranges coming in.
It's a lot of good art in the book. There's some really bad art as well. A couple of stories, but you know, Matt, it's Malieve. Yeah, unfortunately, if I'm rating the whole issue, which is a really hard thing to do because it's like a,
Yeah.
it's just an anthology book. Like, I think Action last year, I don't remember what I said on the video, but just remembering it now, that was probably like an 8.5, maybe a 9, because it was stocked with really good stuff.
And it was consistent. This is a roller coaster.
For the most part,
is...
yeah.
There was like one thing in Action that wasn't too great, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one, I think overall it's like a 6.5, because there's just too many that drag it down to go higher than that, unfortunately.
Yeah, you might be right.
It's a shame. It's a shame. I didn't love it. So a couple of really good ones. Don't get me wrong, but there was a couple of turds that were kind of expected or not expected, and there was a couple where I like parts of this Tom King one. I like parts of this. I almost said Tom Taylor there. Yeah, why is that? Why no Tom Taylor story in this?
That would have made this better.
Yes, Tom Taylor story.